Arkansas Learning Through the Arts, and we're putting together an evening with friends and educators and artists to learn about what we do, which is helping kids do better in school through the arts. We've got quite a few crowds here today, and our honored speaker is First Lady Susan Hutchinson, who has a great passion for the young people of Arkansas. She works with child abuse all over the state, and so she was very interested in what we do.
We're joining you tonight from the Hot Springs Country Club, where Arkansas Learning Through the Arts is having our fundraising gala. I am Coggin, and I'm honored to be one of the featured speakers tonight alongside the Honorable Susan Hutchinson, the First Lady of Arkansas. We're raising money here for students, for teaching, for bringing the arts to the classrooms all over the state. So thanks for joining us, Michael. We're having a good time.
We look forward to the First Lady and her speech, and we're just happy to be here.
Well, it was a fun party if you're there.
So thrilled to be a part of this evening. We've been waiting for months to be able to come out and celebrate Arkansas Learning Through the Arts. This is Liz Callgrove, the Festival Event Coordinator for the Cultural Alliance, and of course I'm Mary Zunick, and we're so happy to be a part of this and so grateful for all that ALTTA does for our educational opportunities for our kids here in Arkansas.
I'm Bramlett Turner, and these are dancers from Hot Springs School District 7 through 12 dance program and the Hot Springs Dance Troupe. And we're so excited to be here to share our love of dance, of choreography, the power of movement to create change. So yeah, we're so excited.
So happy to be here and
Absolutely, supporting the arts.
Yay! Another great event.
This is the first Arkansas Learning Through the Arts event. Our first time to have anything, and we have a full house, and we're just really excited about that and about more people knowing about our organization.
We're celebrating Arkansas Learning Through the Arts and our 9 wonderful teaching artists that go into schools.
Thank you all very much and welcome. This is really our first major event as an organization. Arkansas Learning Through the Arts greatly appreciate your being here, and I'd like to, we'll just have a full program, but before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to our board, and I'm not doing it by person, but if you'll just stand up. This is truly a hands-on board. They work very hard, and we've come a long way in 9 years. Before we go further, I would like to introduce Reverend David Wilson from the United Methodist Church in Hot Springs to give our invocation. Reverend Wilson.
Let us pray. God of the mountains and the valleys, the oceans and the streams, God who put poetry and prose and hymns in Scripture, we thank you for the occasion that brings this group together this evening, and pray your blessings upon Arkansas Learning Through the Arts. We thank you for those who give of their time and efforts and money to help this effort. Bless them, O God, and bless the food that they are about to partake to their bodies. In the name of the one whom we call holy, we pray. Amen.
Please enjoy your meal. I understand the bar will be open throughout the evening. Thank you for your patience. Some people are just getting their dinners. The the plan, and now we're in Plan B, but the plan was to start after dessert. So if you all will continue eating quietly and try not to hit your knife on the glass or whatever. Anyway, we think we need to start or we'll be here till midnight. And I have no plans of that. Certainly I'm pleased that you all are here. Hello? Okay. Got to be right on top of it. Before moving to Arkansas 20 years ago, I volunteered in Dallas for an organization called Big Thought. And the Big Thought was imagination and everyday learning. Over the years, they developed a variety of programming, some integrating arts into the classroom curriculum, after school, and then summer opportunities for kids on probation. That program actually received the National Medal for the Arts. It was the first organization to receive the Presidential Award. When I came to Arkansas, it seemed only natural to build on their success here. 9 years ago, Dorothy Morris, the late Tom Bryant, and I initiated the organization. We were fortunate to have Craig Wella as executive director. He had just moved here from Dallas, where he had also worked with Big Thought. From the outset, our mission was to improve student achievement. Excuse me. We were improve student achievement using the arts as a learning tool, not arts for art's sake, which there's a case for that too. Our intention was and is to change a child's mindset for learning, make it fun and engaging. When they're engaged, they become better educated. When they're better educated, they ultimately become better citizens and adults. In this process, we offer schools and their students arts and cultural experiences that are not readily available to them. And then we leave a lasting example for creative teaching through the professional teaching artists. And many times a hands-on demonstration is much easier to absorb. Since we all lived in the Hot Springs area, this is where we started. There are educators here today from 4 school districts that have been with us for several years. They have been most supportive, and I'd like now to recognize them. For Hot Springs School District, Dr. Stephanie Navis, Superintendent. And Becky Rossberg, Assistant Superintendent. I think you're standing at the end. Dr. Mike Murphy, Superintendent at Fountain Lake, and he's over here. And I think Amanda Sarver from Jessieville Elementary. And Denise Smith. Where are you now? There you are over there. She's Curriculum Director of Mountain Pines. And we really couldn't have done it without them, and we thank you all for your commitment. It really takes a village to make something like this work. Creating the organization, developing useful programming, finding talented teaching artists, and then of course, there's paying for it. From a financial viewpoint, the schools provide funding for about 1/3 of the direct cost. The rest we have to find from other sources. From the outset, there were 3 foundations that were very, very supportive, and most of you probably know them. The Wingate Foundation, the Morris Foundation, and the Monroe Foundation. Thank you, Dorothy and Don. We are grateful to the Arkansas Arts Council for their support every year for programming and curriculum development. Companies have given grants and also placed ads in our student journals, which you'll hear more about later. We thank Arvest, First Security, and Hot Springs Title Company for their generous support this evening. And last but not least, very many individuals have been quite loyal. Envelopes are on your table, I think. Did we put the envelopes out?
They're outside.
They're outside, but they may be on your table by the time we finish. We'd love to have you join the ranks of our individuals. Now, I am pleased to introduce our honored speaker. When I met the First Lady a few years ago, I learned that she had been a school teacher and also was an accomplished pianist, which is dear to my heart, as you know. In fact, she has played with the Arkansas Symphony, and she did let me know one time or another that she was terrified. I also learned how committed she is to the role of the arts in the development of our young people. We certainly have appreciated her interest in Arkansas Learning Through the Arts. In fact, she generously participated in a video that's now on our website. The First Lady has brought to the Governor's Mansion a lifetime of experience advocating for and working with children. As a mother of four and grandmother of 7, she has made the prevention and treatment of child abuse her top priority. In her role as First Lady, she has firsthand seen the devastation of child abuse. She spent several years on the board of the Children's Advocacy Center of Benton County, and now has appeared around the state urging leaders to establish those centers in every Arkansas county. There are 17 so far, and that's quite an accomplishment in that period of time. It is no surprise that the Children's Advocacy Centers of Arkansas named Mrs. Hutchinson to its first Woman of Inspiration. Mrs. Hutchinson also hopes to inspire educators to incorporate music into the daily lives of children. She sees the arts as brain builders, and she's so right. And she advocates for more exposure to the arts for our young people. Let's give a warm welcome to Susan Hutchinson, First Lady of Arkansas.
Wow, you just made me a little bit more nervous. This is just fabulous. Martha doesn't know it, but she referred to it in the introduction. That was a statement I gave to High Profile when I was interviewed there between Asa being elected governor and his inauguration. And I think I kind of startled the world. Sometimes you get stereotyped when they find out how conservative you are, and then they find out how religious you are, and then they assume you have no regard for the arts. Bummer. But music was always historically present in my dad's side of the family. And so I grew up with his beloved aunt who had raised him after his parents passed away by the time he was 8. And she was a prolific pianist, and she had this wonderful, wonderful, resonating, upright piano. Well, she could play anything she wanted to, and she had a daughter who could play anything she wanted to. And it was quite impressive, and I really liked that. And singing and being at church and being in church choir for the teenagers and so forth was really, really fun, and it really helped me, and I really liked that. And I quickly learned that I do not have the ear to play. I do need the music. And my sister, 6 years older, was already taking piano lessons. A friend was paying for those. My parents didn't have the money. I'm not sure what piano she used, because I remember the first piano that came to the house, all the pedals on it didn't work. A lot of the keys stopped, but you did have the 2 octaves to work with. And so that helped. And it was years later I found out. I'd always wondered, because we didn't even go out to McDonald's. We were lower middle class, and those extras, going to the movies or anything, as the family numbers increased, we did less and less until Dad went into another level and became middle class, and that was nice. But after I was grown and married, I asked my mother, just why did you do that? Because you had young kids at home and you'd rush us over to the piano lessons and rush back to the house and come back to get me and the other brother that was taking lessons at the same time and all. And I knew it was a hassle for her. It's just a little 10-minute drive, and she said, well, I always dreamed of sitting at a big, fancy, grand piano with a candelabra on it and me playing herself. It was a dream too far. She went into immediate poverty when her dad died, run over by a drunk driver while he was walking home from the grocery store. And immediate poverty, 1933, and they struggled and everything. So this was her dream. And I was so thankful she had shared it with me, because I had no idea that she couldn't sing. She couldn't carry a tune. I would sit next to her in church, and I can sing, and I would sing loud. I don't know, I just sing loud. And I like singing. And I would always sit next to her in church, and I'd hold her hand, and she wanted me to sing loud, so I would give her cover. She wanted to sing, and she couldn't. And so it was, so I still sing loud in church. Because maybe there's another mother out there or somebody that needs covering up, or maybe they might try to sing along or something. So I knew how valuable music was, and those piano lessons, I tell you, they were a lifesaver. Because you think I'm conservative now? It didn't just happen. You should have met me back when I was 10 and 11 and evangelizing and proselytizing and quoting scripture and telling the Bible stories, and I mean, it was ingrained. I came to know the Lord Jesus as my Savior when I was 6 years old. So it's been in recent years I realized I was born an old soul. So, this is what you got. But it's a caring old soul, and the value of the music. I often ask the kids, where did music come from? Who invented music? It's a gift from God. It's part of creation. The whole earth is full of music. It's a gift. Use it well. That's just one of the arts. But I got to express myself on the piano because I was the odd girl out. Nobody in my high school asked me out. I was so conservative. I was straight-laced. They would come to me with their problems and want to talk to me about it, and they would rely on me, and they wanted me to be around. But I was never going to be a party girl, and I was going to be serious. And I was looking for my knight in shining armor, which a high school teacher told me, no girl wants a knight in shining armor. And I just instinctively said, yes, you said it. You verbalized it for me. Yes, that's what I said to myself. And I found him. And I had to chase him down all the way from Georgia to Arkansas. But I found him. And I knew he was the one for me. And yes, he plays trumpet. We got all the kids to be involved somehow with music. With 3 of them took the piano, and then 3 of the 3 boys all took a horn, trombone, or trumpet, and Asa played. But I met Asa, and he said he couldn't sing. That his pastor had told the congregation that he could teach anybody how to sing. So Asa took him up on it. And the pastor threw his hands up in the air as if not going anywhere. So Asa assumed he couldn't sing. So he was really impressed with me when he found out I could sing and I could play the piano. So I helped him out with youth group that the first 7 years of our life together with youth group and doing that. So it was instrumental with that. And I love the piano. It's simple. You don't have to figure out how to do your lip or how to do the vowels or which string and how to stroke it. It's complicated. Piano, it's right there. You just have to find the finger with the key. That's all you have to do. And work the pedals. So that brings us back to eye-hand motion, which increases the power of the brain. Left hand, right hand, moving the feet. Left hand, right. It builds the brain. The music does. Singing, marching, tapping on a drum, tapping on spoons, it doesn't matter. It builds the brain. So when I met Martha and I realized she's putting the music and the arts and the painting and the literature and the plays and the skits and the murals, and she's doing all of that, and she's using concrete learning, the sciences. I told you I was serious. I majored in biology and minored in chemistry. Yeah, that really attracts the guys. But I didn't care. I mean, I wanted a boyfriend, but I wanted to use what God had given me, and this is what made me happy. And as long as I was, and it worked for me, and I did well. I was valedictorian. Guys don't like to date girls that are smarter than them, or they think they are smarter, and they're late bloomers, guys. I'm sorry. Guys are usually late bloomers with all of that. But anyway, we're going with that. So I just loved that Martha, and I did not know her, but you're realizing the dream that I set forth in that interview back with High Profile. And then with my work with children's advocacy centers. And man, I've done a lot of learning since I got back from DC. It's much smarter here. Learning about their plight and what they go through and their recovery and the counseling that they need. And we're talking about 3 and 4 year olds. There's even therapy for babies, nonverbal. Yeah, it's nasty. But there's therapy and there's hope. And we use, the trained counselors and all, use that therapy. I mean, we have sandboxes and little figurines of all kinds of things, from soldiers to animals to dragons and butterflies and people and all these things, and they situate everything. And then the counselor goes back and say, well, tell me what's happening here. And they'll start talking some. And the next section, they'll talk some more. And the drawings that they do to express themselves or for comic relief, it's a safe thing to do. And it's just on and on, or expressing themselves as they get older, and the poetry or the prose or the made-up stories that they do, but it has an interpretation for them. Did we mention the husbands and wives communicating? Yes. Husbands and wives communicating. Counselors will teach you about word pictures so that you can communicate better with each other. Like, honey, I got to tell you, every time you say such and such and such and such, I'm thinking you mean such and such and such and such, like da 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 da, and you create this story for them to get the impact of how it affects their soul as communication. And that's what you're going to see tonight. That's what you're going to see tonight when these young ladies come out here and going to communicate with you something that's not pleasant, but something that is happening. Yes. It is happening. I didn't know how much I didn't know until I got involved with children's advocacy centers. 90% of the bad people, they know. And you know. Right. They're right amongst us. I call them wolves in sheep's clothing. These young ladies are using an art form to communicate to you what's happening. And I've seen the performance, and it's poignant. They're doing, in action and prose, what I try to do in a speech, to have people keep their ears open, keep their hearts open, and see there is a solution. There is a very effective response that will help. And in the meantime, with all of this music, with all of this artwork, with all of this literacy, with all of the storytelling, with all of the creation of plays and skits and all of that, the kids are getting help that you and I may not know they need. Yeah. And it may be the only help they're ever afforded, because the average age of telling, if they do tell, is 50 years old or older. Yep. So what Martha and her team are doing is God's work. It's helping people. And He wants us to help each other. And He has gifted us to be creative. That is one of the ways, one of the many ways, that we are all individually created in the image of God. He is Creator. He shared that attribute with us. And so the artist translates creation in a way we've never seen it. Never seen it that way. But they do it. I'm very envious of them. First grade, I gave up on art. I couldn't cut out the paper dolls in the string. So I thought I wasn't artistic. But I knew I could do the piano. So by the time I got to, and once a week or once a month, doing a little art class, maybe for 45 minutes with 30 kids running around, not good. Then it's not, really not. And you wait to high school, I am not messing up my GPA. I'm not. I go to art class and that C is going to count against my A in chemistry, physics, all of that. Could y'all work on that, please? Because that was my big chance to do the art. And I wasn't going to risk a scholarship opportunity. I just wasn't. I'd go to girls' chorus. I would play the piano with the little orchestra we had. I would do all that because that was a sure thing. But no, God's good. I live at the mansion, and we decorate all the time. We decorate all the time, and I've learned, again, so much. Chinoiserie. Oh, I had to decorate, fabrics, drapery. It took me forever to stop calling them curtains. I told you it's blue collar. So it's just really, really being fun. Louis XVI, 18th century Carrara marble, antique mantle with cast iron fender. I just described a $5,000 purchase by the association in honor of Gary Davis. And it's in your library at the mansion. So I've gotten to learn a lot of things, and I've found I have a little bit of artistry in me, and I have a real straight line vision when it comes to balancing out things, and informal or formal. Anything concrete I could learn. It was fine. But all of that, bringing it together, we're having Christmas this year. We had Christmas last year, and we videotaped it for you all, for the world. This year you can come, and it's been really fun, and it's going to be Christmas like you've never seen it. It's the 70th anniversary, and a year counting. It's the 71st anniversary now of the house. And so Ace and I were both born in 1970. Yes. And Santa Claus was really big. So guess who's coming to the mansion? Santa Claus like you've never seen him before. And we work closely with Tim Morris, who's also a graduate of Bob Jones University, and he a few years before us. And he's quite the artist, and he's our artist in residence. And we put him to work every year, and he creates magnificent pieces. But it's educational, but through the arts, and you're going to learn Santa Claus is real. He really is. And you're going to find out why I say that. But this is one of the ways that I try to give back. And the association that supports the mansion and these kind of purchases, it's not the taxpayers, it's all donated money. It's guilt-free spending, I love it. It's been fun. They provide all of this for us, and they also, it's a dream come true, we sponsor through the association, and with the help of Entergy, they give the award money an art competition for the teenagers in high school. And it can be artwork, it can paintings, it can be photography, it can be graphite, it can be chalk, it can be plaster of Paris, it can be all these different things. And Tim and some of the others judge it. The top tier, which can range from 70 to 100, their artwork will hang. And then from those top tier entries, we select best in this category, best in that. Everybody's a winner in their category. And Energy allows us some money so we can hand out $100 a piece. So I'm getting to encourage the arts, and it's been fascinating to me. Age is not respective of talent. What I remind teachers of, the package the children come in is not reflective of their intelligence, their possibilities, their creativity, or anything else. Now, the trick is, for the teacher, is to help the student discover what's inside of them. They don't know, you don't know, so let's get with it. Let's give them all these different experiences. And all the time, they're going to be incorporating, again, the history, the science, the optical illusions, the different kinds of materials. I mean, I learned how to blow up a volcano when I was in the 6th grade because I had such a hands-on, old-maid school teacher who traveled all over Europe, and she came back, and we would learn the concrete stuff. But in some of the countries, one of my friends was Joan of Arc. I found out about Joan of Arc. She's my hero. I've read what I can about her. Religious, no nonsense, none of the guys liked her. And she made history and helped create the country of France. It's just amazing. And so I thank you, all the support that you can do. And I'm proud of the Arkansas School for Math and Sciences. They have the A team in there. They have the arts in there. There's a lot of schools that big on the STEM, the science, the technology, the engineering, and the math. and they decided they needed the A. STEAM. It pulls all that concrete learning, pulls it together, and makes it alive. And the kids will remember, they will learn better, they will keep it longer. And with the music, if you can put a little music in there, they're really going to remember it. So keep it up. I'm so proud of y'all. I'm very proud of Hot Springs, the community, the educators, the grants. Have you told them you're being inducted to the Arkansas Women's Hall of Fame? Yes, that's coming up in April. Our own Dorothy Morris. Yeah, and she understands. She understands how this comes around, goes around, and what needs to be done and what to fund. And appreciate you so much with that. So go team. Every child, remember, we're all born creative. Every child is creative. I'm paraphrasing Pablo Picasso. The trick is how to keep him creative.
Thank you, Mrs. Hutchinson. Your passion for our young people is obviously evident, and you've got the message. We appreciate that, and we appreciate your sharing it with us this evening. And I couldn't do paper dolls either. From the outset, our Executive Director, Craig Wella, guided the founding board to define our purpose and our product. As I mentioned, he and his wife, Carol, moved here from Dallas, where he had the long title of Executive Director of Enrichment, Curriculum, and Instruction at the Dallas Independent School District, which means he had everything that was not in the regular classroom. Well, of course, the fine arts, but he also has phys ed, special ed, after-school programming, and out-of-school programming for about 150,000 students in 230 schools. The Dallas School District then partnered with Big Thought that I talked about earlier to develop an arts-infused summer program, and he was chosen for that effort. We have been most fortunate that he retired to the Hot Springs area and became interested in our little startup venture. So much for retirement. I will say he was the one that put, our original name was Learning Through the Arts, and he put the Arkansas in it and made our vision more statewide. And that is a long-term goal. So I've asked him to talk to you a little bit about our journey and then introduce our artists. Craig, where are you? There you are.
Thank you, Martha. Good evening, everyone. Children are intrinsically drawn to the arts, and connecting them to reading, writing, speaking, and listening is a natural fit. Our residencies are 3 to 5 one-hour sessions in which students are engaged in hands-on learning with professional teaching artists. The past couple of years have been tough on all of us, especially for kids. In short, the arts are social. The arts are emotional. Using the arts to foster social emotional health is something our artists have all done innately for years and are now doing with greater intentionality, and you're going to see a little bit of that a little later. 9 years ago, ALTTA piloted programs in 19 third and fourth grade classrooms in the school districts that are represented tonight. We now have surpassed 30,000 students, the student mark, having delivered over 4,000 sessions in more than 1,300 classrooms. Samples of our student journals are on your tables. We also provide lesson planning guides for our teachers and artists. During the pandemic shutdown, ALTTA provided virtual programs through Zoom and video. I would like the 2 additional staff members for ALTTA to be recognized at this point. Susan Aldridge is our development administrator who has been had a lot to do with this evening. Susan. And Gina Rockwell is our program manager. Gina is the one who makes sure that the schools and the artists talk to each other. As you can see by the rosters on your table, we have 9 teaching artists that are currently offer over 50 programs in grades K through 8, and another 8 for high school. Our artists specialize in various art forms: art, music, theater, dance, and poetry. We started out with just 3 artists, one of whom passed away earlier this year. We fondly remember Nina Luton, and we will forever be grateful for her vision and expertise in bringing the visual arts to students in Hot Springs. We are proud to have several Hot Springs artists on our roster. Lainey Carlson is an actor and director, Jerry Hillis, visual artist, and Shauna Kaler, who is a singer-songwriter. But now it's my pleasure to introduce our 4th Hot Springs artist, who's Kai Coggin, a poet, and Amy Bramlett Turner, who was one of our original artists back in the summer program way back when. And Amy has brought some of her dancers with us. So let me tell you a little bit about Kai. Kai has been an ALTTA teaching artist since November of 2016. Since then, she has delivered 659 sessions to over 5,500 students in 248 classrooms across the state of Arkansas. Kai is the author of 4 poetry collections, most recently Mining for Stardust and Incandescent. She is host of the longest-running consecutive weekly open mic series in the country, Wednesday Night Poetry, right here in Hot Springs. And she is the most recent recipient of the Governor's Award for Arts Education. She was named Best Poet in Arkansas by the Arkansas Times, and her poems have appeared in many literary publications. If you're interested, her books are available in the foyer as you leave. Amy Bramlett Turner was one of the first artists employed by ALTTA for the summer camp in Hot Springs. In 2014, she became the director of the dance programs here in grades 7 through 12 in Hot Springs School District, which she has taken to great heights. You have no idea how fortunate you are in Hot Springs to have Amy Bramlett Turner teaching your kids. Amy earned the title of 2019 Teacher of the Year for Hot Springs World Class High School and was most recently nominated for the 2019 Greater Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce Woman of the Year. Now I have another page of accolades for Amy, but it's getting late, so I'll skip forward. She is now the president of the Arkansas Dance Network, where she helped establish the first Arkansas High School Dance Festival, along with dance teacher professional development. Amy truly believes movement has the power to create change and works tirelessly to use dance education to build community partnerships within the state of Arkansas. Kai and Amy, would you please come forward and share some of the work you're doing for Arkansas Learning Through the Arts?
Wow, it is an honor to be here, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. What a beautiful crowd. Give yourselves a hand. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
Okay, so we are the team. We are the people in the trenches. We are the teachers, the teaching artists that are out there with the students face to face. We are the educators. We are the dreamers. We are the doers.
I want to pause for a second to just say thank you one more time to the Honorable First Lady Susan Hutchinson for such a beautiful and impassioned speech. Thank you so much for your example here in our state. It's been a privilege of mine to work with Arkansas Learning Through the Arts. I graduated with a degree in poetry about 20 years ago, and then I didn't know how I was actually going to become a poet. How was I going to do that? How do you become a poet, make money from writing poems? What? So I went into education, and I was in Houston, Texas, and I taught 9th and 10th grade English in Houston, Texas for about 5 years. I was the type of teacher that Amy is as well, that liked to stir things up, that liked to give space, that liked to cause a little bit of a ruckus, that liked to give a safe space to the children. During my youth, yes, yeah, clap it up for that. I did not have an easy childhood. I went through divorce. I'm a mother of an immigrant that came here to the United States, a single mother. We were on welfare and food stamps. I was raped. I went through lots of trauma as a child. And just as the First Lady said, it was only through art that I was able to hang on. It was only through words, scribbling words down in a notebook, that allowed me to hang on in this world and feel heard and feel like I wasn't alone. So poetry literally saved my life. I know the power of art. I know what music can do. I was a drummer in the marching band for all my life. Yeah, I was a drummer. So I know that brain power. I know what movement can do. I know what color can do to heal trauma. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. That's what we're going to exhibit. Amy and I and her beautiful students, we're going to talk about that. But I have been lucky with Arkansas Learning Through the Arts to visit almost 250 classrooms, 6,000 kids, and bring them the tool of poetry, art. Children go through a lot of trauma. And in their young ages of development, they are not fully developed to process that trauma. It is through art that they can be given a tool that will not only get them through their adolescence, but it can take them throughout the rest of their life. That is my purpose now on this planet. I won Teacher of the Year in Houston, Texas after 5 years. I won Teacher of the Year out of the whole school district. And then I won Teacher of the Year out of 85,000 teachers in the city of Houston. And then I quit. Do you know why? Because I wanted to be a poet. I knew that deep down, I was going to be a famous poet one day, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I believed in that dream. So it's what I do in the classrooms is to plant that seed. That if you have just an ounce of creativity, a seed, whether it's playing the flute or dancing or photography or music, if you have that seed, it can develop into a champion tree, like Linda Palmer over there paints so beautifully. Yes, let's clap it up for our esteemed guests, Linda Palmer, Dorothy Morris, Don Monroe. What I would like to do for you, ladies and gentlemen, is just show you what I do with the students. And Amy, would you like to just have a seat for a second? Yeah. Okay, girl. Okay. Because we're going to do our thing. But I'm going to do my thing first. Do it first. Okay. Poetry is a safe place for your feelings. That is my mantra when I go into the classrooms. I tell these kids, whether they're 7 or 17, poetry is a safe place for your feelings. You can put it in a poem, and you don't have to carry it on your shoulders anymore. That pain of divorce, that pain of losing your brother, that pain of your mom still smoking cigarettes even though you're scared she's going to die of cancer, you can put that into a poem, and you don't have to carry it anymore. Poetry is a safe place for those feelings. So what I do when I go into a classroom, I teach them about metaphors, similes, language, but mostly I tell them that. I give them that tool that they can use not only in their youth, but for the rest of their life. So I would like to start tonight by sharing a poem that I read for them. Is that okay? Sure. Can I do that? Can y'all clap it up for that? Okay. I don't like being behind a microphone, but I'll do my best. So, this poem I've read to over 7,000 kids all over the state of Arkansas. And I wrote it exactly for them. And it's called Wings. Here it is. Oh my goodness. I must have opened the wrong book, but this is an example of what poetry can do in your life. It can bring light into your life. It can bring color into your life. It can bring magic into your life. It can bring healing into your life. This book looks exactly like this book. This is where the poem is. I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me. I get a little clumsy sometimes. This is what I do with the kids. In case you didn't tell, yeah. I have wings. I don't know if you can see these kinds of supernatural things, but I have wings. Yes, big ones. They exude a strength that lies deep in me. And when danger and trouble come knocking, these wings can set me free. See, they are made from fire and wonder and poetry. They are an escape to the world's monotony. I have wings. I have wings that help me see. I have wings that help me be. Sometimes you might feel like no one understands. But these poetry wings can take you to distant lands, and you can fly and dream and make all the big plans because you have wings to travel over this land. Now, my life hasn't always been very easy. I spent many years in the dark where no one could see me. I had no reason to believe my own magic or power, but one day I spread my wings. And I flew out of that prison tower. So if you ever feel like you're in the dark, just close your eyes and open up your heart. I know sometimes you're faced with many difficult choices. And it might sound like there are too many parents and teachers' voices yelling at you, telling you just what to do. But always remember that you have wings too. Always remember that you have wings too. Thank you. I asked the kids to hold up a thumbs up if they liked that poem, thumbs down if they didn't like it, middle thumb if it was like, it was okay. Let me see what y'all think. That's what I like to see, people. That's what I like to see. And all of a sudden, you don't have to teach them about metaphors or similes or language or imagery because they feel it. They feel it through that poem. Did you feel it through that poem? Could you identify with that? Thumbs up way there in the back, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you. You can feel it through that poem. That's the magic of art. That's why Martha and Craig and the First Lady work so hard. Through art. That's why these beautiful people, all of you beautiful people, that's why you're here tonight, because you believe in art and what art can do. We're going to show you a little bit about what art can do. I'm going to give this mic over to my beautiful friend and colleague, amazing teacher and leader, Amy Bramlett Turner. She's going to tell you a little bit about our collaborative project that we've done together. Amy? Go clap it up.
Now, Martha, Craig, I'm not going to follow Kai anymore because that's not fair. I'm a dancer. I was made to move and create change through movement, not words. So y'all, bear with me. I am not as fabulous as that woman over there, okay? First of all, thank y'all so much for just including us. I'm Amy Bramlett Turner. I'm the Director of Dance for Hot Springs School District, the only school district in Garland County with a dance program, and only one of 8. Oh yeah. And one of 8 in the state of Arkansas, and I believe one of very few with actual K-12 dance. So we are very fancy, y'all. We're doing all the things. I have to put my shameless plug in there before we get down to the real business that I teach 150 dancers in ages through 12 to 18, grades 7 through 12. We have several courses that they can continue their dance education, and we talk about all the things. We talk about the history, the English, the poetry collaboration we're about to demonstrate for you tonight. I try to make our curriculum interdisciplinary because I know that most of my dancers aren't going to become professional dancers. That is not the point. Our point is to create active, good citizens of our community that know how to be a good citizen and know how to be a contributing member of our community. So that is my goal, and to teach them that they have a voice that is valid and that they should share in an academic, artistic, and beautifully nonviolent way. So that's my part. So if you'd like to see them, we're having our first hot chocolate, hot cocoa, nutty nutcracker on December 2nd. It is the same night as Diamonds and what's the? Ice on Ice. Thank you, Ice on Ice. Yes, but we have a 9:30 a.m. show and a 6 p.m. show in our beautiful brand new craft auditorium at the Hot Springs Junior Academy at 401 Emory Street, and tickets are $3. Wow. Okay, so we'll see you there. Go there. Give it up for teachers. So in 2018, I'm going to make this very quick because I know that we are cold and tired and most of us have to go to the bathroom probably at this point, right? So in 2018, I was in grad school for my master's in dance ed, and I was tasked with a thesis project to write curriculum, which this curriculum now is a model cornerstone assessment, which is a fancy word for its curriculum for the National Coalition for Core Art Standards. So they have this as an example to use. So my vision was I wanted to give students the opportunity to create, to choreograph their own dances in an academic way. So it's not about what's pretty, it's not about what you like, it's about what you see and how it makes you feel, the shapes you make, the spacing you use, the choices that you make as the choreographer. So each of my students were tasked with the choice of what social justice issue that they would like to see changed in the world. So whether that be racism, I thought there was going to be a lot of bullying, not so much. They want to talk about the very serious, very sensitive subjects because a lot of them go through and they're faced with very difficult situations as an adolescent. So that's when my friend Kai came in over here, and we got together. I said, Kai, we need about 100 poems, and I need them to vary in topic. So she created a beautiful folder of all these different poems of different lengths of contemporary and historic. My students then chose a poem, and Kai came in and with a grant from the Arkansas Learning Through the Arts Foundation organization. Kai came in and she talk to them about how to deconstruct poetry, how, the things that they've already learned in English classes, but we are just reassuring it and reintroducing it and reevaluating it in the dance classroom. So after that, we then gave them a little demo, which is what we're going to show you tonight, about how you can explore movement inspired by poetry. So they each have picked their own poems, and then they're tasked with creating choreography of their own. And not only do they have to create it, but then they have to rehearse it and teach it with their peers who may not agree with them. They might not see their vision. They might not agree with their, with their viewpoint on racism or brutality or bullying or trafficking. But they do it, and they do it beautifully. And then we get together and we give them feedback. And it's not about what you like. They're not allowed to say they like anything. They have to say, I really saw your choice of doing this or of that. And so then they get into the conversations about how to talk to each other even if we disagree. So it is a dance classroom, but we do so much more. After that, they are free. They have to make choices about their costumes, about the lighting, and then we have student lighting designers through our theater department that help us light and bring these dances to life. We've also done a very the next year, after we did Poetry in Motion, ironically called the same thing, great minds, we did Art in Motion, and we used Anthony Tidwell right here. Yes, sir. He came in and introduced the same process, but using visual art. This year, our student choreographers are going to be tasked with choosing a historical event. So they have to choose a historical event to inspire their original choreography. So, all that to be said, I told you I was going to be short. They're making me move. So, we're going to give you a demo of what we show the kids. Forgive me because I've had several children. And I'm older than what I used to be when I was a professional dancer. And you see the space. So we do invite you to, if you'd like to stand up, if you'd like to gather around, we're going to show you a little thing, okay? Don't judge the old lady.
What's amazing about Amy is she doesn't teach, she leads by example. She gets her students to learn, but also to learn how to teach. Her students not only learn the choreography and the poetry, but they turn around and teach their peers, which takes it to another level, and that's why she's such an amazing teacher. Let's clap it up for Amy Bramlett Turner one more time. I'm giving her time to warm up and stretch. So we brought in this project with these students, and we wanted to show them, because the best way to lead is to show by example. To be that example, whether it's in your community, in your family, in your country, lead by example. So we wanted to show them what we were expecting. I would read a poem by a very famous Arkansas associated poet, Maya Angelou. Come on, y'all, give me one more. Maya Angelou has deep roots in Arkansas, and honestly, they weren't very pleasant roots. And you feel free to Google that. But she had a history in Stamps, Arkansas, that led to her being mute for about 5 years. She didn't speak. So I talk about that openly with Amy's students. And we did this demo. I read this poem, Phenomenal Woman, by Maya Angelou, and Amy shows some impromptu choreography. So that's what we're going to try to do. It's been a few years. You ready, girl?
Yeah, girl.
Okay. All right, here we go, girl. Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size, but when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's in the fire in my eyes, and the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist, and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Bravo. Bravo. Woo! Wow. Talk about leading by example. Would you like to introduce your students?
Oh, sure. Okay, it's fine. Good, it's fine.
Dancer to teacher, yes.
Yeah, it's fine. Quick change,
Okay, so it is with great pleasure we are going to introduce my student dancers chosen for this event. We invite you to have open hearts and minds and know that this is a very heavy dance.
And our choreographer, Mariah Thacker, she is a senior now this year, but created this when she was a junior. And she actually wrote the poem herself. And she told me much later she wrote it like 10 minutes before class. But so she is a very gifted choreographer. She's been choreographing for a few years now. And her dancers are Jariah Selman and Serenity Couples. Again, we invite you to have a very open mind, open hearts. It is heavy. We are aware. So, y'all ready? Yes.
Thank you, Amy. I'd like to introduce this poem a little bit more and give you a little bit more background as our student dancers prepare. As you all know by tonight and what we've said, art is a powerful expression of the life all around us, a reflection of human experience, both light and dark. Tonight you will see what is possible when two art forms merge. Poetry and dance, when married together with a cohesive intention to generate action, can be one of the most powerful vehicles to facilitate empathy, understanding, change, healing. In my experience with thousands of kids between the ages of 7 and 18 here in our state, in our city, I am here to tell you that the children of Arkansas need a release for some of the things that they see, feel, and experience firsthand. Children take so much into their little bodies, and in most cases, they have nowhere to put those experiences, nowhere to release all of that pain. Bullying, broken homes, suicide, abuse, hunger, poverty, grief. These are not just traumas that are reserved for us as adults. Our children experience these complex things too, often in more concentrated ways. And without the development of their emotions to fully process these traumas, they are not given the room to grow into fully balanced human beings. Art can help. Poetry can help. Music can help. Poetry gives them that safe space. I tell them poetry is a safe place for your feelings. Poetry allows them the freedom to creatively interrogate their own lived experiences and the issues that directly impact themselves or their peers. It empowers their voice. It takes them out of the situations into a higher observational and objective plane, which can in turn finally lead to healing. Some students do not use this window of opportunity to really explore deeply. Some will just write a poem about basketball or their dog or tacos and hamburgers. Okay, that's fair. They did the assignment. Perfect. But there are others. There are change makers and young fires who confront issues head on and empower language to make others feel deeply and react deeply in a way that promotes empathy, compassion, action, and change. Mariah Thacker's poem, which Amy said she penned in just a few minutes, and the choreography that surrounds it are a strong example of this empowerment. She didn't rely on the poems that I brought for the students, that packet of 100 contemporary poems. No, she wrote her own. She wrote her own. Her passion and questioning make you want to step in and do something. Her poem opens a door to awareness and emboldens us to act. That is the power of art, of poetry, of music, and of dance, of collaborating toward a better and more safe and just world. I want to say, This dance does not reflect the views of HSSD, but is an artistic and academic expression of student voice. And it is my honor to present you Mariah, Jariah, and Serenity with Can You Hear Me?
I just want to say thank you very much for that. Okay. Can you hear me? I've been gone for 10 days without a glimpse of hope. Can you hear her? She's been screaming for 9 days and her voice is almost gone. Can you hear him? He's been pacing around upstairs for 8 days and I'm starting to think that he forgot about us. Can you hear us at all? The family of this man has been here for 7 days without even the slightest idea that he's keeping 2 girls down here. Do you notice me? Notice that I haven't been in class for 6 days? Do you notice her? Notice that she won't make it much longer if she tries to escape for the 5th time. Do you notice him? Notice that he gets home at exactly 5 every day. Do you notice us at all? Notice that we're 4 minutes away from the school? Will you remember me? Remember how at 3 I made a best friend for life and now she's 2 feet away from me trying to save herself? Will you remember her? Remember that she was the #1 soccer player in the state? Will you remember him? Remember how he'll serve no time in prison because they will never find us? Will you remember us at all? Who we were? What our favorite things were? Our biggest accomplishments? Can he realize that we're just kids? We are best friends planning to live the rest of our lives together. Did we ever think this is how it would end? Does anybody? Can you hear me?
Thank you, Mariah, Jariah, and Serenity. Y'all stand up for these children. Stand up for these children. Brave young artists, Mariah, Jariah, and Serenity. These are real issues. These are real issues just as the First Lady has advocated her whole lifetime to speak about. These are real issues that children face right here in Hot Springs. It's not just in the outside. It's not in the other places, other states, other countries. It's right here in our neighborhoods. And art and music and dance and the work that Arkansas Learning Through the Arts is actively doing right now with these young people is making a difference, is promoting healing, is giving them a vehicle, whether it's through playing the flute or the drum or dancing or photography. It's teaching them that they don't have to hold these things inside them, that they too can have wings.
Bravo.
Wow, that was something else. Kai, Amy, Mariah, Jariah, and Serenity. Again, thank you for bringing us that. That was fantastic. And our First Lady, I've known her for many years. I guess I wasn't in a night charmer. You didn't ever know me back then before ASA, but anyway. We learned a lot about you this evening and your love for arts, and we certainly appreciate all you've done for the state of Arkansas and continue to do. Some years back, Martha Smither asked me to serve on the board of ALTTA, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a retired business guy, I'm an engineer. I mean, probably my biggest art career, accomplishment was probably being able to do a stick figure in 3rd grade or something. That's about my possibilities of doing something artsy. But in getting involved with her and finding out that kids or our grandkids that are going to school and they're learning reading, writing, arithmetic, And it's interesting, as my kids grew up, I don't recall ever one of them saying, "Yeah, I'm so excited about going and learning about geography today. It was really exciting." Or one of them saying, "Boy, this algebra, this is just so much fun." But when you get into arts, and they have an artist come and do poetry, like Kai did, wow. Wouldn't you want to come back the second day and get more of that? I mean, that's really impressive. And that's what this is all about, is using the arts as part of their learning experience to excite kids and get them interested in coming to school. And not all of them are going to end up being pianists, like Martha or like our First Lady. Not all of them are going to end up being poets or artists or write songs or do things like that. But if this is the kind of thing that'll get them to come and learn how to be productive citizens, then they'll be able to pay taxes, they'll be able to work. And so from that standpoint, as business people, there's a real positive of all that. But I'm not going to really talk too much about that. What I wanted to talk to you about is that 9 years ago, a lady who had moved here 20 years ago worked with a couple other folks and came up with this idea of Arkansas Learning Through the Arts. It was based on something she had been involved in Texas. And she has done so much for Arkansas Learning Through the Arts and for the state of Arkansas in trying to improve education. She's donated lots of money, and she works almost every day. It's kind of funny. We talked about raising her pay, but we're going to double your pay. That's right. We don't pay you anything. Okay. Well, anyway, you have twice as many kudos for all the good work you've done. But one of the things that we wanted to do tonight in closing is to let you know that we work with an organization called Young Audiences Arts for the Learning Network. And this is a group that's national, have a lot of money. We get some money from them each year. And they work with hundreds of organizations across the country that do things in arts, whether it's Texas or New York or California or Arkansas. And we went with them to try to become certified. And we did get a certification. We're one of 32 programs in the United States that's been certified by Young Audiences Arts for Learning. And it's because of our president, Martha Smither. And Martha, we'd like you to come up here, and we're going to give you this plaque for all you've done and for the fact that we've been certified one of 32 in the country.
I was really worried about what he's going to say, and now I am. I appreciate everything. I mean, I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate my board. I can't tell you how wonderful our artists are. I hope you have shared in that experience tonight. And we're a force. And we're going to take over Arkansas. Again, thanks to the First Lady for being here and sharing your experiences and thoughts. It's wonderful. Thank you. Enjoy your evening. I think the bar closed, or anybody cares.